What's up, guys, and welcome to a brand new episode of the King's Corner, where today we're not talking about one, we're not talking about two, we're talking about three new release 2023 films. We're talking about Strays, we're talking about The Blackening, but first, we're talking about Blue Beetle. This is DC's latest attempt at success, where the box office numbers just aren't doing it. The first, DC film of the year, Shazam! Fury of the Gods, was a big box office bomb. The Flash barely broke even. And this movie again, had over $100 million budget, I believe, and it made like something like 25 million opening weekend, something like that. So, you know, I think people are just waiting patiently for that revamp. And what James Gunn is going to do with Superman Legacy is he's going to kickstart the new DCU. I think people are just kind of sick of what we've been getting. But that's kind of a shame for this film because, believe it or not, this is the best movie DC's put out this year. Um, yeah, I really enjoyed it. I don't think it was a great film, but I think it was an extremely entertaining film. Uh, and I think that the actors are all doing a very very good job. You got Zolo Meridinuya. He's playing Hyman, and he turns into the Blue Beetle, and he gets the Scarab, and they link up. He's so charismatic, he's so likable, and he's got a heart of gold. This kid, and love the character, and I loved him as well. You got Bruna Marquez as the love interest in the film. She's got connections to the Scarab. Thought she was okay. Everybody, look, George Lopez basically stole the movie for me. He's got a lot of the comedic moments in it, but his stuff in the film really worked. But the whole family, I thought, worked really well. And Susan Sarandon, she's the villain of the movie. She's got a henchman, and those two, I think, were extremely generic and extremely cliched. These are cookie cutter villains that we've seen in films, you know, like this a lot. You've seen characters like this before. But look, the reason you go to see this movie is not for its originality. You go to see it for the family aspect and the heart that the family has. Um, yeah, not just does Hyman have a heart of gold, the film has a heart of gold. And you could tell that the filmmakers really wanted that to shine through, and it did. I think, the family, I mean, this is, such a well realized family. I was sitting there and, thinking at times that it didn't even feel like actors. These people really felt like they all really loved each other and they were part of this family. Um, where in the Shazam film, they're cooking family really hard in that film as well. But I think it works better in this, and the chemistry between all of them is great as well. It's just the biggest negative about this movie, and really the only negative I have about this movie, is its unoriginality. This movie feels like it could have came out in the mid 2000s. It feels extremely generic. This takes story beats from so many superhero films. There's beats of Thor Ragnarok, there's beats of Spider-Man Homecoming, there's beats of Iron Man 1. I mean, there's literally a list of films. Okay, that's from that. Oh, that's from that. The whole film is like that. This is not an original movie. The story with the scarab and all that, sure, it's the Blue Beetle property, but at the end of the day, this movie is anything but original. And the action as well is very unoriginal. The suit, I didn't think there was anything exciting about the suit, the powers. You've seen stuff like this before. I thought it was cool when he pulls out the big giant sword. You see that in the trailers. But other than that, the fights, it's like Iron Man versus Ironmonger. At times from for the first Iron Man movie, the third act of the film, CG kind of overload. But yeah, look, the third act's my least favorite part of it with all the action, and it just felt like very generic action. But the film itself, like I said, has heart, has character, and I would say there's a sequence in the middle of the movie that's very emotional and worked really well. And they set some things up earlier in the film to where certain things happen and you do feel it as an audience member. So look, Blue Beetle, I don't think it's a great movie because of its lack of originality, but because of its heart and because of its characters and, the entertainment value of it, I think that it's DC's best movie of the year, and I really enjoyed it. I'm going to give Blue Beetle 4 out of 5 stars. And if you've seen my review for The Flash, which was up a couple weeks ago when that movie came out, I think I gave that a 4 as well. Probably taking that down to a 3.5. Shazam 2, I don't know if I gave that a 3.5 or 4, but very forgettable film as well. I mean, that's going down to probably a 3.5, 3 as well. But this, a very solid 4 out of 5 star movie, and I do recommend it. So maybe word of mouth will work for this movie because I think it does deserve more than it's getting at the box office. Next, we're going to talk about Strays. Will Ferrell plays Reggie. He's a dog that's owned by this chick, and she's dating this guy, and one thing leads to another. Reggie pulls some other lady's underwear, and it makes the couple break up. The guy sticks with the dog, and he hates the dog. He's abusive to the dog, not necessarily by hitting it, but other ways of being abusive. And, he tries to get rid of him at every turn. And finally, Doug takes Reggie far enough to where he throws the ball and he drives away, and now he's lost. He can't get back home because he's too far gone. He doesn't know where the hell he is. So what does he do? He meets a bunch of other stray dogs, including Jamie Foxx as Bug, who I thought was great. I thought Will Ferrell was great in this as well. I think their chemistry, I don't know if they recorded in the same booth or not, but they are so charismatic and so fantastic in this movie. I mean, Will Ferrell is so innocent in this. I mean, it's like a version of Buddy the Elf he's playing. He's a total fish out of water to where it's this homegrown dog and he's now a stray. The script is surprisingly deeper than I would have expected, about emotionally abusive relationships and things like that, and moving on, and just all sorts of things like that. The movie kind of gets into and sprinkled out throughout, which I really appreciated. Um, I think the movie isn't the most exciting film you'll ever see. I think it does kind of chug itself along in the second act. I think it takes a little bit to get started, but in the end of the day, it's a very fun movie. It has very fun sequences. Is this the best movie ever? No. If you see it, you see it. If you don't, you don't. But I think if you do see it, you can have a good time. You can have fun with it. And yeah, Strays is like it's like a 3.5 out of 5 star movie for me. I think it's a good film. I don't think it's a great film. I think that is it particularly memorable? I think it is for me personally. Especially the climax of the movie and all that. I do think you see it and you do feel satisfied by the time you leave. So that's my thoughts on Strays. The final film we're going to talk about today is The Blackening. Just came out on a 4K Blu-ray, 4K Steelbook. Really nice Lionsgate Steelbook. Look, we can't all die first. That's The Blackening. Look, The Blackening follows a group of black friends reunited for a Juneteenth weekend getaway, only to find themselves trapped in a remote cabin with a masked killer who forces them to play a twisted board game by his rules, which they soon realize ain't no joke. Yeah, look, the trailers for this I thought looked really good. I like the way that the film is sort of playing on the stereotype and is playing on that, the black person always dies first in a horror movie. Other horror movies have joked about it, but this is the first one that has totally taken it and made it the concept of the film. And it makes all these characters, more interesting in a sense, where you're like, okay, you don't know who's going to die first, because they all look the same. In a regular horror film, you say, oh well, I guess that they're going to follow the stereotype, they're going to follow the tropes. When this movie can't do that, and I appreciated that. And to be honest, I think this is a screenplay that if the film was taken a little more seriously, I think this could have been nominated for Best Original Screenplay Oscars. Gave me some Get Out vibes. for the themes and things that are hidden and in the deeper context of the script. I think it has layers, and I think it's actually a very good script and a very good film. This is a top movie of 2023. I don't think it's one of the best films of the year, but it's one of the top films of the year. It's not one of the top like 10, but it's like top 15, maybe 20. I don't know. I haven't put it on my list yet, but I thought this was entertaining. I thought the humor worked. I thought that, it always keeps you on your toes. You never really know uh, who's doing it, what's going on, and the film always keeps you guessing. But it doesn't feel like a cop out. It feels like it actually kind of makes sense. Everything that's set up in this film is paid off. And when certain things you find out, you see, for me personally, it was kind of a head scratcher, but then you hear it and you listen to the screenplay, the dialogue, and what's actually going on here, and you say, you know what, this works for me. For me personally, it works for me. The Blackening, I think, is a top comedy of the year. Look, Strays, I thought was a top comedy of the year. I like this more than Strays. Now, comedies this year, you've had some good ones, you've had some questionable ones. This is definitely like top two. I mean, Joyride is one for me. Then you got The Blackening, and then Strays is number three. What will be number four? I don't know. No Hard Feelings. I think I kind of like that, but the rest of them kind of forgettable. But yeah, The Blackening looks a solid 4 out of 5 star movie for me. Does it slow down at points? Does it get slightly repetitive throughout the film? A little bit, but I like its originality. I like its personality, and I do recommend it. And if you want to check it out, you're a fan of physical media, The Blackening. You can own it now, pick it up, and it's in stores. So yeah, that's where I'm at, guys. Comment down below. Did you see any of these films? What do you think about them? Also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Future episodes of The King's Corner coming up. We've got, look, I'm going to be trying to catch all these films. Obviously, now we got a 4-month-old, so taking him to the theater is like, look, we gotta hope that there's nobody going to be in there. I tracked the ticket sales. We would have saw Gran Turismo today instead of Blue Beetle, but there was just way too many people in there. So Blue Beetle was like the second option. There was less people, so it's easier to take a 4-month-old. So it's getting harder for me. We're taking him to the drive-in, but his scheduling is complicated. So bear with me on that. But we're picking up all these films on Blu-ray as well, 4K Blu-ray, the films that I've missed theatrically. I do put reviews out for them. So yeah, look, Blackening, that was one of them, missed it theatrically. It's out on 4K now. Gonna do a review for it. We got Asteroid City and Big George Foreman sitting on the shelf, waiting to watch those. Got the Blu-rays of those me checking out. And yeah, other films like The Machine, About My Father, Beau is Afraid, did reviews for all those. Pope's Exorcist, Polite Society, all those films I missed theatrically, got reviews up for them now, those films that I just listed. So don't forget to hit the subscribe button for all that stuff. Also, you can follow me on Twitter at RyanKing72 and Instagram and TikTok at KingArises131. And that's been it for me, guys. Thank you so much for watching this episode of The King's Corner. And until next time, over and out.